Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hey everybody, I hope you guys can hear me. We are live from Streamlabs in Studio J. Hopefully you guys can hear me good. Let me know. Hey everybody. I've waited all day for this. We have had no water all day today. So it's been an interesting day over here, but we have water now. We can flush our toilets, we can brush our teeth, we can take showers, and now I feel a little bit better. Good evening, moderators. Good to see you. Good to see you. Amy C., I missed what you said, but I hope everything's okay. NH girl, Evelyn. Evelyn, thank you for your PayPal. Evelyn sent me a PayPal and said, I'm just happy you're okay. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Thank you for thinking of me, everybody that did. Appreciate you. Have you guys been watching Leilani today? The audio on that trial is horrific. I hope you're okay, Amy. If you need to email me, you know where I am, girl. Or message me on Discord. Discord. Tonight we're going to dig into this. Potato says she's been waiting for this one. This is the Scar Wars podcast with Colby J. Ryan, the son of Lori Vallow. And this is his new podcast. This is episode 3. I noticed when I pulled this up that episode 4 is like a recap with Dr. John and Colby, which I think will be interesting to catch after this. If you guys want to, I'll give you the link right now. Go subscribe. Lori Vallow is more appalling than ever. I didn't think that would be possible. I really, really didn't. Another update real quick before we start here is that here's the link to Colby's podcast. But the woman, Suzanne, in I think it's Texas. Missing in Texas? I think it's missing in Texas. They're searching a landfill right now. They're searching a landfill like live right now. It's really sad. Her mother's elderly and she's been talking to the news, doesn't think her daughter's alive. I believe the husband was arrested. Really sad. But let's go ahead and get into this podcast with Lori. I have got the captions on. Hopefully it'll be loud enough. This is a live, or not live, but this is a jail call that I'm assuming they set up so that, he could ask her some questions. I'm not really sure how this all got started. But let's go ahead and get into it. Hold on.
You sound good to me. I don't know if you can hear me very well.
Yeah, I can hear you pretty good.
Is it too loud for you guys? Let me go back a little bit. Let me know if it's too loud, if I need to turn it down a little. Olive, what's up?
You sound good to me. I don't know if you can hear me very well.
Yeah, I can hear you pretty good. But yeah,
I know you have all the questions and everything, but how are you doing? Are you okay?
I'm better now, if I'm being honest with you. It's taken a long process to work through all this stuff. It's been a lot of years, but I've I've definitely found my strength. So I think that's where I'm at right now. But
well,
yeah.
I know you've got to be busy with kids and everything, so that your life moves fast when you have little kids and you're doing your life. So, I didn't want any of this for you, as you know.
Yeah.
You told me that Tylee had come to you in a dream.
Right.
And you never told me what she said or what her message was to you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I always wanted to ask you privately, right? Like me and you, like, what did she say?
I don't remember. If I'm being honest with you, I don't really know if I believe in the visiting of ancestors anymore. I don't really, like, people who are in your family. I don't think that's something that I've ever seen biblically where, like, you really get visitors from your family on behalf of Christ. I've dreamed a lot of things, if that's what you're asking. I've dreamed a lot of things about you, and I've dreamed a lot of things about my family, but...
Okay, so she's asking him about a dream he had about Tylee, and she wants to know, what did she say to you in your dream? Ask me about my butthole. Is that you? Is that you, Carl? Dude, Carl, if that's you, you better speak up in chat. I haven't seen you in years. Let me know if that's you, Carl. But he's letting her know, I don't believe in past ancestors coming to visit. I don't believe in your stuff, Mom.
I've never fully dreamed. I can't remember exactly what you're referring to, if that's what you're asking me.
Okay, yeah, but you called me, and so you knew something wasn't right, and you were questioning me, and you were asking, but this is before you knew anything, and you had a dream with Tylee. I'm not saying she actually visited you, but you had some kind of dream that had upset you, and I wondered, because she had passed away, if she had actually visited you and told you something, because she visited me and told me plenty of things, and the very first thing she told me was, "I'm sorry, Mom, for being such a brat."
First thing right here. I don't know how he has the strength to sit there and listen to this garbage. But she says, "Oh, I just wondered what Tylee told you, because the first thing she told me was, 'Mom, I'm sorry for being such a brat.'" Unbelievable. Welcome in, everybody. Hi, Carolina. Hi, Ruma. If you guys could all hit the like button. Yeah, listen to that again. She told me plenty of things.
Visited you and told you something, because she visited me and told me plenty of things, and the very first thing she told me was, "I'm sorry, Mom, for being such a brat." That's the first thing that she told me, and it was so Tylee, and it was so hard.
Look at his face. His face says it all. Unbelievable, this woman.
So I just wondered if she had said something to you that you recalled. And that was such a long time ago. I just always have wondered, because I never asked you at the time, what your dream was. You just had told me that you had a dream and that she had come to you. So I wondered.
Yeah, I don't really remember, to be honest with you.
Okay. I just didn't know if that was something that... And I totally appreciate what you believe or don't believe or whatever. You know what I believe, so it's not a big secret.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you know from when you knew me, not what you know from what police have told you or other people have told you, but what you actually know from me personally. Which, that's the only other thing I wanted to ask you about, because you remember our drive to Reno, just me and you, right?
Mm-hmm. And I remember you telling me some really out there stuff. You just told me that there's multiple lives, and I told you that's not true, and I really don't believe in that at all. I don't think anybody's ever lived multiple probations. I don't think anybody's ever come back besides Jesus himself. I don't think that's not something that we do. That's reincarnation. That's not something that Jesus ever mentioned in the Bible, ever. There's nobody who comes back and lives in flesh and is born again and has a whole nother different life and experience. So I truly knew when you told me that didn't make any sense to me and it didn't sit right with my spirit. But I trusted you as my mom. I tried to give you the room to share with what you thought and felt. But as years went by, I had to do my own research on the things. And I remember thinking, when you did that and said that, I remember thinking, that's just not right in my spirit. And everybody's entitled to believe what they want. But I'm telling you, for me personally, that in no way, shape, or form do I believe that anybody's ever lived a different life. I think once you're gone, you go to heaven or wherever the Lord puts you. And that is my true conviction to myself. I don't believe in anything else.
Well, I honor and respect that. And just like you said, I honor and respect what everyone else believes. They can believe whatever they want to believe.
She honor and respects everyone. Didn't you know that?
Right? Like,
but don't you think that's dangerous to believe anything and just kind of have your own basis of belief rather than something that's based in truth and what the Bible says?
Okay, so I agree with you 100%. And there's a purpose for what the Bible does, and there's a purpose for what it says, and it says all the right things. And most people who ever come to this earth only come one time, and that's why the Bible is for everyone. It's not. This is higher knowledge that people who need to know it can know it, and people that don't need to know it don't need to know it. So it's not widespread. It comes directly from Jesus to me. It doesn't come from any other source. It comes from Jesus Christ to me, and so that.
Let's go back to what you said. I feel like, honestly, that there's a lot to talk about here.
It got quieter, didn't it?
Can you go over?
Or is
you
it
said
okay?
Tylee's been visiting you, so I want to. There's a lot of things I want to go through, but you said Tylee visited you and spoke to you.
Okay, you know what my thoughts are on the fact that she thinks that Tylee is visiting her so much? I really feel that Lori Vallow, that's her guilt. Like, she's never going to admit anything, right? We know that. She's just I don't even know if there's even any words for her, to be honest. But this is her guilt. Tylee comes to me and says she's sorry. Right. It's all delusional. Tylee comes and visits me.
And JJ, I heard this in your statement that you made. I wanted to know, what you mean by that. And, one of the reasons I wanted to talk.
Exactly what I mean by that.
I think when we talked about Legion, let's go back to what we were talking about. So in the Bible, there's that moment, I think it's in John 5, where Jesus casts out the demons. And
hey, Rhonda.
He gets rid of them, and then the man is back to normal. You said that there was a reference to the chosen, and I wanted to hear what you said because it cut out. So what do you believe in when it comes to the zombie idea? Because that's where you were at. That's what you were telling me.
Yes, I would love to address this because I have never said the word my personal. This has gone out of control. India, whoever made up this whole zombie thing, and escalated what my basic belief was. Okay? I, Lori, have gone through my whole entire discovery, and there's not one thing. Do you know if you do a search and you do the word what my basic belief
Lori,
was.
listen.
Okay? I, Lori, have gone through my whole entire discovery, and there's not one thing. Do you know if you do a search and you do the word zombie in the search in my discovery, do you know the only thing that comes up is when JJ was ordering those little zombie babies from Minecraft. That's the only thing that comes up. Okay. In all of my 19 years of my iCloud. I was not saying that. That is not something I said. That is not something that. So yes, can evil spirits like it did in John 5, yes, I.
She's saying she has gone to her discovery on her laptop that she was given and typed in the word zombie.
Believe that. Do I believe I have the power from directly to cast him out? Yeah, I do. The same way he cast him out in episode 5 of season 2 of The Chosen.
Okay.
So yes, those are my bait.
She has the ability to cast them out. She is unreal.
You there?
Sorry, the Wi-Fi here is so terrible. It just keeps cutting out.
It's all right. Yeah, we can just go through it. So you were saying that you never said the word zombie. That was never used by you.
Ever.
Okay. So, I mean, I have a lot to ask you, honestly. But I wanted to give you the floor to really say your piece. And since we're cutting out so much, maybe it's just a good time. You told me one day you'd want to say it in our last phone call. You said that you wanted to tell me what has happened. So I'm going to just give you the floor real quick. If you want to say your piece, and maybe I'll just have follow-up questions after that. But I want to go ahead, and I think you know what I'm referring to is what really happened then with my brother and my sister and this whole thing. And I know that we could talk about my dad, but I'm assuming that that's because of your case is a little not for right now. We can always follow up on that at some point because I do have a lot of questions about it all. But I'm gonna try to just keep it strictly to my brother and my sister. So I just want to give you the floor real quick, and I think we'll just kind of go from there.
Well, it's obviously different than what everyone else thinks, and I don't know that if you knew the truth of what really actually happened, if you would want it to be in public forum, Colby.
Okay.
I mean, talk to you personally. I know that you are the only person on this planet, to me, who loved Tylee and JJ as much as I do. The only person. So in all of my 4 years or 5 years of going through this, because it's been 5 years now,
Yeah.
I have asked every one of my attorneys, how can you help me to talk to Colby in a way that I can let him know the truth of what happened, because he's the only person on this planet, not my mom, not my sister, not anybody else. Colby is the only person on this planet who loved JJ and Tylee like I did. He was the only person that truly cared. And in my opinion, he is the only person who deserves to know what really happened. So can you help me find a way where I can talk to Colby?
Here she is manipulating Colby. Colby's the only person, not my mom, not my sister, putting all this on poor Colby.
Privately and tell him, because this is a horrible situation and I want to be able to talk to you, but I don't know that after you know what actually happened, if you would want that to be public. Okay.
Well, basically, you said no one was murdered. That was your biggest statement. You said not one single person was murdered. That everybody, you said there were suicides and deaths, accidental deaths, and you said that there was drug overdoses, that no one was murdered. So that's what I'm going to ask you then. If you were willing to say it in your statement, then I'm asking you to say it to me. If you don't want to go into detail, that's your decision, but that's what I'm asking you today.
Well, what I can tell you is that I wrote out what happened with those 38 pages, and that's what I was telling my attorneys. I need this to get to Colby. I don't care who else it has to go through, but I don't think it's fair to Colby to not have this information, since he is the only person I feel like was as close to that cared about JJ and Tylee like I did. Now, you are the only person, Colby, in the entire world that I felt like I said, I want to talk to Colby and tell him because he deserves to know. I don't care what anybody else knows, and I frankly don't care what anybody else thinks. It's not their children. They're my children, and they're your brother and sister, and we were the family, and we were the ones doing everything for them. And when you took care of JJ, when Tylee was in the hospital that time before we had to move to Hawaii, and you sat there with him as a 2-year-old with before medication, before we knew he had autism, and he would just run like 100 miles an hour. And I remember because when you picked us up at the airport, picked us up, and you were so mad at me when you picked me up with JJ, and you were like, what are you doing? And you're too old to be, you're a grandma age, and you're too old to have this baby, and what are you doing? And he's going to have so many problems, and you were really mad. And
Jesus, lady. And he's going to have so many problems. Oh, my God. Can you imagine what she put on these two? Meaning Tylee and Colby.
JJ came with his own love, and you fell in love with JJ. You, Colby, did. And when you had to take care of him during that time, I think that bonded you the most to him. When you took care of him, and Tylee and I were in the hospital, and Charles was in Hawaii trying to set up the house, and we were trying to move out of that huge 5,000 square foot house, and we were just throwing everything in the dumpster because we couldn't move it. We didn't have time because we didn't expect Tylee to be with.
She's talking about all these memories and like smiling. You can tell she's smiling and gleeful. And then look at his response. It's like delusional as hell.
Trying to move out of that huge 5,000 square foot house, and we were just throwing everything in the dumpster because we couldn't move it. We didn't have time because we didn't expect Tylee to be with pancreatitis in the hospital, and I was in there with her screaming. And so you are the only person that deserves to know the truth. Also, I can't tell the story of what happened to Tylee and JJ without telling Tylee's life. And I don't necessarily want to tell that to the public, but you know it. You are the only person who lived it with me and her. You lived it with me. You went with me and her to therapy every week. You were the ones there when she was crying and screaming and throwing things in walls because they were forcing her to go to jail. You saw all of her moods. You knew how she had depression and anxiety attacks. And you and Kelsey were even coming over to mentor her during that.
Oh my God. He looks like he's going to throw up. He looks like he's going to throw up. All of these negative things. Oh, you knew about Tylee having COVID. Or not COVID. What the fuck? Where did that come from? Depression, anxiety, like all these negative things.
You saw all of her moods. You knew how she had depression and anxiety attacks. And you and Kelsey were even coming over to mentor her during that time. You know, because you were there. And you were there with JJ. You were there with Tylee. And you know, and I didn't want to write it out like that. I didn't want to just say, oh, this is what happened. I wanted to talk to you and answer your questions so I can tell you everything that actually happened. And if you have a question of something, well, the police said this, then I have an answer for that. That is not what, they weren't there and they don't know. So I wanted to talk to you so I could hear your questions and answer your questions because you are the only person besides me on this whole earth who really loved both of them the way that I did. And so you heard what.
You are the only one who loved them as the same way that I did. He's just like, I can't even believe this. Oh no, Misty, do you think you have COVID? It's very sad, Black Widow. I just can't even imagine like hearing my mom say that after what she did. You loved them like I did.
What happened if you heard that? What I wrote?
They wouldn't give me the detail really, so that's why I'm asking because I that's what.
That's what would be happy to tell you personally and privately, because I don't know if you want those details out in the public.
Well, you pretty much said it in the trial. So I guess I'm wondering why you said those things if you weren't willing to just share if that's the truth. If that's the truth that you say it is.
Well, it is the truth, and it's exactly what happened, but...
Do you want me to say what I've seen, personally?
Sure.
So, it's going to be heavy, so I hope you're ready for this. They found my little brother in a bag, tied up, buried, and then they found remnants of my sister. Mm-hmm. Remnants, not even a person anymore.
All she says is, I can't believe he sits here and says they found remnants of my sister and my brother was in a bag. And all she says is, Listen to her again. I don't think I could do this if I was him. Put a 1 in chat. I mean, I know we can't imagine what it's like to be in his shoes, but I don't know if I could do this. Put a 1 in chat if you think you could confront her like this after all this time and everything.
And then they found remnants of my sister. Mm-hmm. Remnants, not even a person anymore. Remnants of her.
Can you imagine why that is? Do you have any reason to think that would happen?
No.
So, did you know Tylee's desire of wanting to be cremated?
That was your version of cremating her?
Oh my God.
That was
It wasn't mine.
Because that doesn't sound...
It wasn't mine.
That was the
It wasn't
version?
mine.
Because that doesn't sound...
It wasn't mine.
It wasn't mine. It wasn't mine.
But did you know that she had that desire?
No.
Well, so you don't know because you weren't there, but after Charles passed away, and Alex and I and Tylee were at our table in there at the house in Chandler, and we were going over Charles' wishes, and Charles had put all his stuff down saying he wanted to be cremated, and don't ever put me in a box or I'll come back and haunt you, because he was claustrophobic. He didn't like the idea of being in a box, and he had said all these funny things on his letter to me. And Tylee said to me and Alex at the time, she said, "Don't you put me in a box either." She's like, "Whenever I'm out of here, I want to be cremated." That was her big thing.
So why wasn't she cremated
put
then?
into a box.
Why didn't you cremate her? If she wasn't murdered, why was she...
When I'm out of here, I want to be cremated. What? Good evening, Shauna.
She picked...
But she wasn't.
pieces. Okay, according to what you say, and you say you were there, I'm trying to give you this space without telling you what I think and feel. I'm trying to ask you the question because that's not cremation. I have my brother and sister's ashes. That's cremation. I have them.
Can you imagine coming in on that scene?
What?
Can you imagine as a mother, your father now? So imagine you come in and find 2 of your children deceased.
Oh my God. Imagine coming into that scene. Like she's a freaking victim now. Good evening, Nicole. Good to see you.
So they just died out of nowhere.
I didn't say that.
You come home or whatever, and both your kids are dead. And then what? You just never tell me what happened?
Furthermore, where did you come home from, Lori? Where were you that you weren't home? Because we all watched the trial where Melanie Gibb told the whole story. She told the whole story of Alex carrying a limp JJ out of the house. She told the whole story of what happened at the condo that night.
Or you never tell anybody anything? I'm trying to understand you.
You can't, because you can't imagine what that is like. You can't even imagine, you know how much I love those kids.
No, we
You
don't.
know how much I've put into them. You know how much I've done everything to protect them. You know how much I've done everything to get Tylee every kind of help, fought in every kind of court to keep her safe, fought in every kind of hospital so they wouldn't do a whole bunch of horrible stuff to her when she was sick all the time. You know what I did for them.
I know.
So you imagine.
I'm speechless. Everything that she did for them to keep them safe. They ended up in They ended up in Chud's yard. You kept them real safe, Lori.
Walking in, finding them, and they had been gone for hours. There was nothing I can do, even though you just can't imagine. You can't imagine that scenario, because until you live it, you can't imagine that scenario. And when I came in, and I knew Tylee had been upset, and I knew that she was upset with me that weekend because she wouldn't stay at the house because I would Melanie Gibb stay there, and she hates Melanie Gibb, as you know. Everyone knows this. She hated her. And she couldn't stand her smell because she had the essential oils, and Tylee got sick off the essential oils in 6th grade because her teacher made her drink the essential oils in 6th grade to help with pancreatitis, if you remember all that.
Her teacher made her drink essential oils. What? I don't even believe this shit.
So she didn't want to stay there. So I asked her to babysit JJ, put him to bed that night, which is what she always has done, right? She was going to...
Okay, I don't even know how this can even fit into her line of reasoning, because if you remember, Melanie Gibb said she never saw Tylee. Tylee was already gone, right? She told Melanie Gibb that Tylee went away to school, that she was at BYU. And then Melanie Gibb testified to JJ being there that weekend, that they all came there and did their little seance in their podcast. So it's like, this doesn't even fit her timeline. I don't know if it's her timeline or whatever, but it doesn't even match because Tylee hadn't been seen for a while.
Then I was going to do my podcast with stupid Melanie and Dave, right?
Now it's stupid Melanie and Dave. That's David Warlocks and Melanie Fib.
So JJ wouldn't interrupt it. And then I was picking him up in the morning to get him ready and take him to school.
Why?
And when I came in on that scene and they were gone, I thought Tylee did it to get back at me. I thought it was all my fault. I thought she was mad at me. And that's what had happened. And the reason why she visited me and why JJ visited me and came to me right after that is because to tell me that it wasn't my fault, because I was blaming myself 100%. 100%. Why didn't I get Tylee more help? Why did I let her get off of her meds? Why did I not do something different? Why did I let Melanie get to stay here? Why did I do any of these things that would lead to this?
Why did I let Melanie Gibbs stay here? So who did it? Who in her stupid mind does she think did it? Really?
How
is she trying to say, that Melanie did it?
Possibly have happened. Why? Why and how? Why and how? I mean, you can't even imagine what that is like. No one on the earth can imagine what that's like.
You're telling me that Tylee took JJ's life and then took her own life?
On accident.
And took her own life then? After? So who chopped and burned her? And who duct taped JJ and put him in the ground? And I'm asking you. You were saying what? So you told me.
Sorry, you're just cutting out. I can't hear what your question is.
So you're telling me Tylee took JJ's life, then took her own life, and then someone cremated her by dismembering her and burning her and throwing her in a pet cemetery, and then somebody bound JJ, put him in a trash bag, and threw him in the backyard. And that was it. That was the end of it.
What I'm saying is I wasn't aware what happened to them after I left that scene.
Okay, so you gave it to someone else. You gave the responsibility to someone else, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay. And then.
I didn't. I just ran out.
Okay. So you're saying someone else took care of the situation.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said
it's breaking up.
I'm saying that you're saying to me that someone else took care of it. That's it. Then I don't have to go into more detail there. Somebody else took care of these things. So you.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
I'm telling you that their spirits were gone from their bodies at that time. They were gone. They were already in heaven. They were already gone.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So you're saying that.
All right, check this out. Here's a little clip of Nate Eaton and Melanie Gibb. Real quick, listen to this.
So she trusted his because she was not considered a visionary, right? So he would tell her, these people, whoever was around her, these people are doing this, they're doing that, they're dark or they're zombie or whatever. He was the one she would call and ask those questions. She said she wasn't very good at getting the answers.
Do you think Chad told her that JJ had become a zombie?
I think so, yeah.
So she tells you all these things. You're kind of like, he looks normal to me, looks like normal JJ.
Yeah.
Did it worry you at all that, oh no, look what happened when Charles became a zombie? Something might happen to him?
I didn't think she would do that because that's her boy, you know. We had actually a talking about this. She goes, well, I need to, it's time for JJ to, I don't know how she worded it, but it was something to the effect, it's time for, he's in the way of our mission, so we need to send him to Kay's house. That was kind of like the idea, is what can we do? And so we talked about Kay, and we talked about some of her family members that could actually take him on. And so we talked about, what that conversation would be like with Kay, and she wasn't sure if Kay would really receive him. And so we talked about just different ideas about, him going there. And so that was the plan that I knew of, is he's going to Kay's house. She told me that. I know that from what I saw in one of the video clippings, that she also told a neighbor that as well. And
That's why you lied?
So that's what I believe was going to happen to him. So I left thinking that that's where he was going, his case, for sure. I didn't doubt that.
So as her friend, you're saying, okay, he's a zombie. He's in the way of your mission. She said that. So you guys came up with a plan of, why don't we let Kay take care of him, or someone in Kay's family?
Yeah.
Had you dealt with Kay before?
I met her briefly, but I didn't interact.
So she's saying, oh, well, I just figured he went to Kay's. That's her out. I can't stand this woman, but this is stupid Melanie and stupid David, her husband. All right, back to the podcast.
They were gone. And why, if that's the case, then why wouldn't you just tell us? What was their secrecy for? Why didn't anybody know
There's a lot of reasons. Colby and I've gone over that a million times, and I can tell you from the beginning, my thoughts then and my thoughts now obviously are different. I've had lots of therapy about it, to kind of work through it myself. But at the time, I didn't want anyone to know what Tylee had done to JJ, and I wanted to continue to protect Tylee as her mother, who has been trying to protect her whole life.
Oh my God, lady, sit down.
Sit down, bitch, sit down.
Protecting Tylee. She's saying that Tylee unalived her brother. She's saying Tylee unalived JJ.
This has been to protect Tylee as her mother, who has been trying to protect her whole life. This is my scenario, Colby. What if Tylee holding JJ down for too long, trying to get him to not scream and be loud in the apartment, which she was always upset about. We weren't in a big house anymore.
Okay, Tylee wasn't even there. So I think what she is doing right now is projecting what she did and blaming it on Tylee. Now listen to that again. Listen to that again and put Lori, aka Lolly Time, in that scenario of being in the apartment. JJ, being wild. He was getting stronger. She said it herself, or, he was getting bigger. He was getting stronger. He was getting harder to control. Tylee wasn't even there, but Lori was there, self-snitching. Exactly, Maggie. Listen again and put Lori in that scenario.
Her whole life. This is my scenario, Colby. What if Tylee holding JJ down for too long, trying to get him to not scream and be loud in the apartment, which she was always upset about. We weren't in a big house anymore. We were in these tiny little apartments, and they were...
Hold on. I just remembered. Epiphany right here. Remember when Melanie testified and David Warlocks testified that Chad went up to do something with JJ in the bedroom, and he came down and he had scratch on his neck? Please tell me y'all remember this. Put a 1 in chat if you remember the testimony that Chad went upstairs, did something with JJ, and then I can't remember what the scenario was, if JJ was acting out, if JJ was doing something, he was upstairs. Chad went up there, came back down with the scratch. Do you remember that? Was it Chad that was holding him down to quietly? Because I'm thinking if other people were in that apartment, y'all do remember, if they were in that apartment, Chad would have done it quietly because the rest of the crew was downstairs. Listen again. Oh my God. Okay, what if Tylee, not Tylee, but Chad?
This is my scenario, Colby. What if Tylee holding JJ down for too long, trying to get him to not scream and be loud in the apartment, which she was always upset about. We weren't in a big house anymore. We were in these tiny little apartments, and he was loud. And what if she held him down too long and realized afterwards what she had done? What if she had come running to me and told me what she had done, right? That it was an accident? Do you not think that I would have told police that I did it to save Tylee? Because you know that I would have.
And here she is behind bars. Oh, you don't know this case, Ange. Oh, wow.
I would have done anything to protect Tylee. And in my mind at that time, and some people might think it's not rational, but wasn't rational at that time because you can't.
Yep, I think that's what Chad did, not Tylee. She protected Chad. There was the only person that she protected is who? Chad. She didn't protect Alex. Alex is dead. Whoop, whoop. GB, I'm glad you love it. If you could send us a picture, it'd be great. Thank you for your support. I want to hear that part again. I would have done anything to protect Chad. Not Tylee, but Chad.
I don't think that I would have told police that I did it to save Tylee, because you know that I would have. I would have done anything to protect Tylee. And in my mind at that time, and some people might think it's not rational, but wasn't rational at that time, because you can't imagine what it's like to find your children in that way. You can't imagine. So no, I was not being rational. However, I was still protecting Tylee in my mind, and I still am. This is why I only wanted to tell you privately. I didn't want to tell the world what went on. I didn't want to tell the world that Tylee stopped taking her medication 2 weeks before this. She was on anti-anxiety medication, anti-depression medication. She was on a medication for panic attacks, and she was on birth control, so her ovarian cysts wouldn't be bad. She was on all that stuff. And when we moved up to Idaho, 2 weeks before, a week after we got there, she said she didn't want to take her meds anymore. And I said, honey, you can't go off meds cold turkey. You can't just you have to wean off of them. And you know how she was, and you know how stubborn she was, and you know how she would do anything that I told her to do, and she would do the opposite. So no, I haven't wanted to tell everybody, and nobody could even understand how it could get to this point unless they understood what had happened to Tylee since she was 3 years old. So yes, I have been protecting Tylee. I will continue to protect Tylee. I didn't want this to be made public. I didn't testify in court for that purpose.
To protect her name?
They could put me in here for 5 lifetimes. They could put me in here for 1 million lifetimes. It doesn't matter to me.
So I just want to understand, because this is what I asked you before. You're telling me that all of this is to protect my sister's name because of what she did. Is that what you're telling me?
In my mind, yes.
Okay.
In my mind, yes.
I think it's hard because I've come to know the prosecutors myself. I've looked at a lot of the evidence. There was nothing left of my sister to even really look at, because somebody was so brutal with her. Somebody was so sick with her after she was taken.
I can't hear you, Colby. It's cutting out.
I said that...
I can't really hear anything you're saying.
Of course you can.
I said that it was... I've talked to the prosecutors. I've looked at a lot of what they've shown me. And Tylee was so brutally mistreated after her death that it wasn't even human. It wasn't even humans.
Well, I'll tell you something about what I know about the minute. And because of my own experience of being outside of my body, right? You could care less what happens to your body after you die.
I'm Vinny Politan. Great to have you with us tonight.
People on Earth are really worried about it.
I don't
get
want to
it.
hear it. I'm sorry.
I get it.
I don't want to know.
I did not intend for that to be done to
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
your body after you die. You could care less.
Okay, hold on.
And I know people on Earth are really worried about it.
I don't
get
want to hear it. I'm sorry.
I get it.
I don't want to know.
I did not intend for that to be done to
It's
her.
the most brutal
I did
thing
not
I've
know
ever heard
that
in my
was
life.
being done to her.
It's the most brutal thing I've ever heard in my life. So I don't want to go over that, really.
Me either.
JJ
I want to think about that.
JJ was
They were
found,
not in there, Colby. They were not in there, is what I'm telling you.
but I'm telling
So no
you,
matter what happens to you when you're at a coroner's office and they cut you open and do an autopsy,
Okay.
yeah, that's really gross. It's
No,
really
that's not
gross
what
when
I'm
they do that
talking
to anybody.
that's not what I'm talking about. But with JJ,
You're not in there.
JJ was found fighting his bag that he was put in. So did Tylee, you're telling me Tylee held him down too long or put a bag over his head? Because that was the evidence that JJ was being suffocated by somebody. That was the evidence.
So that is not the case. So when I found my little precious babies, there was no bag, there was no tape,
Okay, so
there's
they're just
nothing
both
of
dead.
that. They were just gone.
Okay.
Anything that was done was after the fact, long after the fact. They were not in there.
Okay. Then that brings me to a question here. With all of this being said, what has it been like for you?
Sorry, you're cutting out.
Okay.
I didn't hear you because I
said-
was cut out.
What has it been like for you then since 2020? How have you been affected by all this? Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said-
No, I didn't hear that. Only part of it.
Since that's what you're going to say, how have you been affected since 2020? How has this affected you?
How have I not been affected? It's my whole life. Like, I was never going to tell anybody anything about anything, ever.
Okay, so you would have never told
Suck
me.
it up and take it.
You would have never told
But
me.
when I was at the
You would have never
well,
told
you're
me.
the only person. I wanted to tell you, and you're the only person I wanted to tell, and I wanted that to be privately.
Okay, well,
The only person I deserve to know.
that can't just be
wasn't-
something private, Mom. That's not something you can just tell me that I would just be accepting and understanding of. You have to understand that. I would never agree with you. I would never bury my siblings in some random dude's backyard and act like it never happened. I would never let that happen. I would have, even if that's what happened, which I'm going to be honest with you, I hope you can understand, because I wanted to be respectful enough to listen to what you said. I've really tried to listen and study what you said, and based off of everything that I've been shown, that they were both murdered, and that's what you said didn't happen. So I think that we're not going to get anywhere there. I think that's just, I wanted to hear what you had to say, because you said you were there, and you said that those were your children and those were my siblings. But I can't sit here and say that I agree with you at all. I don't think that's what happened. No, it's just not what I think happened based on.
When we all get to heaven, you'll know.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you. I can't.
He says, based off the evidence, I don't believe that's what happened. So let's take a listen to David Warwick.
Mr. Warwick's on the stand. I'll remind you, you're still
This
under
is
oath
David
for your
Warwick
testimony. Mr.
testifying
Wixom,
about
continuing
that
on
night.
direct examination. You may proceed, Mr. Wixom.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Warwick, I want to draw your attention back to that Sunday afternoon and evening after you looked at the property. When you came back, did you have any other interaction at all with JJ?
No.
Did you see him in the apartment that day?
I believe he was there Sunday afternoon
Yeah, answer the question, Warwick.
when we came back.
This is what happened Sunday, according
Thinking
to
back
them.
to the last time that you saw JJ, when was it that day? What time of day was it?
It was probably about 10:30 at night.
And what do you recall seeing him doing when you last saw him?
Alex came in the front door and JJ had JJ in his arms, and he carried him upstairs and put him to bed. And JJ, was asleep. So
Now, at some point in that evening, did you do a podcast?
yeah, we did that Sunday night.
About what time of night, best you can recall?
And we started seemed like about 7:30, and we were just finishing it up when Alex brought JJ home.
And who all was at the podcast and participating?
Melanie and Lori and myself.
Was Chad there at that time?
No,
And where in the apartment did you do the podcast?
in Lori's kitchen.
So Was the podcast happening before you saw Alex bring JJ in and take him upstairs?
Yes.
And then you slept in that apartment that night, correct?
Yes.
About what time did you go to bed?
Probably 11 o'clock.
This is the weirdest story.
11:30, right in there.
To the best that you understood, who else was at the apartment that night?
Lori and Melanie, JJ and myself.
I don't think I asked this before, but at any point during the weekend, did you ever see Tylee at the apartment?
No.
Ever see her around anywhere?
No.
Tylee
When
was,
you
see,
got up the
Tylee
next
was not there. He said, no, I didn't see Tylee anywhere. There's no way that Tylee could have been there to hold JJ down.
morning, did you have any more interactions with Lori?
Yes.
And what were those interactions?
We came downstairs. I came downstairs getting ready to leave for Pocatello. So I just went to say goodbye to Lori and JJ. And Lori was in the kitchen and she was a little dramatic. And I just said, well, we're leaving. I'd like to say goodbye to JJ. And she said, oh, he was out of control. And I had to have Alex come and get him.
So, Mr. Warwick, other than what she said, you just used the word dramatic. What did you mean by that?
She just seemed really talking fast and nervous. Just kind of, when I meant by dramatic, she explained that he climbed up on the cabinets in the fridge and got on top of the upper cabinets. And it just her explanation of how JJ was acting was what I would say was dramatic.
And remember what she said. Oh, what if Tylee held him down, because he was acting out and, she wanted it to be quiet because we're not in this big house anymore. Everybody can hear in the apartments.
Was it different than your other interactions with Lori?
Yeah.
Did she say anything else about him climbing up on the cabinets, JJ?
No, she had a picture of Christ on the upper cabinet, and he said that he went up there and pushed that down.
Now, did that seem accurate to you, her account of what had happened with JJ climbing on the cabinets?
No.
Why not?
Because I didn't see any broken parts on the cabinet. I didn't see any scuffs on the fridge. And the crown on the top, if he would have got up there, that crown would have just pulled off.
His cabinet
Wow.
crowning
You
something
guys think he was climbing on the cabinets to get away from her? God almighty.
familiar with as a builder?
Yes.
Did you get a close observation of the crown on the cabinet then?
Yeah.
Did you say anything about this to Lori?
No, I just said, well, she said that he was having a possession attack. And so I said, well, I'd really like to see him. And she said, no, Alex has got him and he's taking care of him.
When she said he's having a possession attack, did she say anything else about that aspect of it?
No, she just said she just couldn't handle it.
Couldn't handle it.
Your Honor, can I have just one moment, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
So is that when Lori then held him down, or was it Chad held him down?
I can't tell you anything different. You
Right,
know,
no.
and I can't tell anybody different, and I don't care what any.
What do you guys think? I don't believe for one hot minute that David Warlock was all concerned. I want to see JJ. I think that's bullshit too. CYA.
Anybody thinks really, like they weren't there and they don't know. So
Okay, well, that's what you meant then on that phone call.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
You told me on that phone call that I would know, and you said they don't know, and I definitely listened to that phone call again because I was so hurt because it sounded like you were just giving me a middle finger, and you said F you.
I wasn't, honey. I wanted to tell you. The attorneys told me don't say anything on a jail call. Nothing. Don't ever say anything. They pound that into you know, from
Right.
day one. Like, so you're asking me, and I'm like, I can't tell you on this phone call, but I want to tell you. You're the only person I wanted to tell because I wanted you to be able to grieve, and I wanted you to be able to mourn, and I wanted you to be able to tell the difference between what they're saying actually happened and that you would know privately what really happened. Let them say whatever they want. Who cares? It's gone way out of proportion. But I wanted you to have that for your own peace. That's it. For your own peace of mind. You know Tylee better than anybody on earth except for me. You did. You lived it with me.
So can I ask you another question then? Obviously, I have a million. I'm trying to keep this very, really to the point of the things. I think that I've noticed you say you have a lot of these enemies, and that you have believed to be a very big usher into the second coming and Jesus and all these things. So I'm wondering, do you feel that you are this person who's lived multiple lives and is here to do this thing to usher in Jesus' coming? Is that what all of this hardship on your part is? Is that why you think you're going through so much hardship? Is that you are that person?
Well, what do you remember of me telling you about my experiences in the temple? I told you personally. I only told a few people personally, and they've gone running wild with these stories. So I'm asking you what you remember, what I told you personally.
All I remember is your biggest claim is that you had seen Jesus personally, and that he had talked to you, and that he was on your side. That was it. That's what I really remember. I mean, you did tell me about the whole multiple lives thing, but that's about the basis of what I remember you telling me.
Did I tell you where that experience happened?
Yeah, you said you're in the temple. That's what
okay. So I learned all these things that I know from Jesus personally. So when he came to me in the temple and he put his hands on my head and ordained me to do something for him, like a job, right? And he said, will you do this job if you lose everything? This was in 2017.
Okay.
And then he said, will you do this job if you become like Job? That's what he asked me. And at the time, when he was right there with me, and you have those wonderful, heavenly, peaceful feelings, I thought, sure, I'll do anything you want me to. Go to the ends of the earth. I'll follow you to the ends of the earth like Peter. And then you walk into that scene and you're on the ground like Peter. Like, what is this about? What do you mean lose everything? I lost everyone, and including you, which was really the hardest loss of all to me, because you were my best friend for 24 years. And losing you over the past 4 years was harder on me than even losing the kids. But he asked me to do a job for him. Mm-hmm. And I said that I would, and he said it was going to be terrible. Now I'll tell you this.
Okay.
When you have a visit from Jesus, a personal visit,
right,
then because there is opposition in all things, you will have a personal visit from Lucifer.
Okay.
So weeks after I had this visit with Jesus in the temple, I was in JJ's room at the big house where you got married.
Okay.
And Lucifer was standing right in front of me.
Okay.
And he said to me, I know who you are. I know exactly who you are, and I will stop you. Okay? So, Jesus gave me a job.
Okay.
Lucifer has done every single thing to get me to take my own life, because that is his goal. If I leave here, I cannot do my job for Jesus, right? The only thing I have to do for Jesus is stay here, right? He needs me here to help people.
Right.
Now, there's 8 women in my pod right now facing the death penalty.
Uh-huh.
Okay? 8 women in this little jail.
Okay.
I help them every day.
Okay.
I help them doing their workouts. I help them doing all these things. I help them with their cases. Whether Jesus needs me to help him and serve him in primary or in prison, he asked me to do this for him. Now, the media flood that has come against me, right? The media flood that has come against me is from Lucifer, right? He does not want this job done. He does not want me to help these women. He does not want me to uplift them and strengthen them and help them hold on until he comes again to rescue us all.
Right.
He doesn't want that.
Okay.
So he wants me here.
Okay.
And he's taken everything away from me like he took away from Job. The only thing wasn't allowed to do to Job is what?
Kill him.
He wasn't allowed to kill Job himself, right?
Yep.
But he was allowed to do everything to make Job want to kill himself, right? Everything.
Right.
So it is a personal attack on my family because Jesus asked me to do a job for him.
Okay.
So that is my belief that he has taken every single thing I've ever said and twisted it. He has taken every truth and turned it into a lie, taken every lie and turned it into a truth. So, yes, that is what I feel like is happening.
Okay.
I will continue to do my job, whether I have your support or not, although I would love that. And one day, everyone will know that that is true and that that's what happened.
I hope you can listen to what I have to say as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I've done a lot of praying. I've dreamed dreams of me delivering you from demons. In those dreams, every time I yelled at you and we screamed, and then I would perform a deliverance on you and I would call things out of you. I do not share your beliefs, and this is after a lot of pondering and praying on my own. After everything happened, I started to read the New Testament, and I wanted to trust you before I found out. I wanted to believe that Tylee and JJ were walking around somewhere, maybe in a barn. I don't know. I couldn't understand what you were doing. And I tried to just keep saying, you know what? I'm going to trust my mom. I'm going to trust my mom. I'm going to trust my mom. When I found out what happened and I started to see everything, I gave you a call. And in that call, it was very confrontational, but I felt like I wasn't judging you. And a lot of times you said I was judging you and you think that I was with everybody else and I'm like the media. And I'm glad that I called you now because I have my head on straight. And I can tell you that after a very long time of listening to what has been in the documents, these are the things they recovered from you and from Chad and these things, it doesn't make sense to me. And none of it is biblically based. And I know you have a different viewpoint, but you and I are on completely two different, it's black and white. It's that different. And a part of me struggled for a very long time to try to remember the person you were before all this and try to remember that you did care so much and it felt like you loved us and you tried to protect us and you were just a different person. And I understand that you believe that these are the things, and you know what? We're not even going to have an argument about that because there's no point. There's not going to be me sitting here telling you this, and this, but I will tell you fundamentally and 100%, after praying a lot about it and everything over the last few years, I do not agree with what you believe, and I don't think that.
Yeah, but you don't even know exactly what I do believe, honey. Like, you're saying that because you're going with what everybody else has said I believe.
Oh, please, Lori.
Well, I
those
read
are not
it.
my actual beliefs.
Right, but believing that someone is a zombie or I know you said you didn't say that.
That is not my belief.
But believing that.
That is not my belief.
Believing that even with what happened with Chad, I thought that all these things were happening and all this time you were talking to him, and then I was mad at my dad and I stopped talking to him because I was mad because I thought he hurt you, but you were talking to Chad too. That's not right. And those things aren't right. And I don't know everything. Like I told you, I'm not arrogant to sit here and say I know everything. And I wanted to give you the platform to say your piece. But my piece is this as well. I do know you. And none of this is congruent to the person that raised me. None of it. Nothing.
When did I change? I would like to know when you think that this miraculous, after 50 years of being a wonderful mother, that I turned into this horrible person. Like, what?
No,
when do you think that happened?
Can I be honest with you? I think you were beyond deceived. I think spiritually you were horribly deceived by a man who
Do you
saw.
think that standing in the room with Jesus Christ, that he deceived me, that I could be deceived after being in the room with Jesus? Do you think that I could personally be deceived?
I don't think that this is a commission of Christ. And I'm sorry to tell you that. But I want you to know that because I want this to be
It's a commission of Lucifer trying to make my life miserable. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's not from Christ. Christ lets things happen and strengthens you through it when he attacks you. Okay. This is not done from Jesus. This is Lucifer attacking our lives, my life, and including your life, because you are my child. So you have also been attacked, and I am very sorry for that. There's nothing I can do. I leave it in Jesus' hands to handle it, because he is strengthening us through this attack. It's just like he let it all happen to Job. Why did he let Job get to that point and suffer so much? Why did he have every single thing taken away from him? Why? Right. Why did he let all those things happen? He has a purpose. Right. And he told me, this is what Jesus told me 20 days before I was arrested in Hawaii. Okay. Jesus came to me, and he has several times since I've been in jail, but he came to me 20 days before I was arrested, and he said this: Lori, there is a purpose for your whole life. It is my purpose.
Jesus said, Lori, come on. Yes, it's time to puff, puff, pass. And if you haven't hit that like button, now is a wonderful time to do so.
So trust it. What do you think I thought at that time? They were talking about arresting me, and I knew I hadn't hurt anybody. I knew I never would hurt anybody. But so I didn't think I was going to get this. And he's going to make it known to the world what his purpose is in his due time. Okay. Whenever he feels like doing that, you will know. And I want you to know right now that nothing is more important to me than you. I love you. I've always loved you and cherish our relationship as eternal. I understand you being upset with me. I get it 100%. I don't blame you. But I want you to know that no matter what you've ever said about me or done or said on the media or anything negative, I forgive you. I don't hold it against you. I love you. I understand completely. And you will know one day, Colby, and you know. And that's all I can tell you. I love you more than anything. I miss being a part of your life and my grandchildren's life. I know why you're probably doing that, but we have an eternal relationship, you know. Ava came to me the night before she was born. I didn't even know that Chelsea was due with the baby, and she came to me the night before she was born, and I held her as a baby in the spirit world, and she told me that we had loved each other for eons of time, and that she loved me so much, and the joy that filled me when I held that.
She's talking about his unborn baby. She held his unborn baby in the spirit world the day before she was born, and they told each other that they loved each other for eons and eons. Stop it. Like, leave his baby girl out of this, Lori.
That little baby filled me. Colby, she came to me because she knew that you wouldn't let me see her and you wouldn't let me talk to her, but she said our relationship is eternal, and she loved me, and I'm her grandma whether you like it or not.
She said, I'm her grandma whether you like it or not. She's laughing.
I'm your grandma, and she loved me, and I'm her grandma whether you like it or not. She said, I'm your grandma whether my parents like it or not. And so there is a purpose in all this, and I'm sorry it's been hard on you, honey. I love you so much. But there is a purpose whether my parents me, and I'm her grandma whether you like it or not. She said, I'm your grandma whether my parents like it or not. And so there is a purpose in all this. And I'm sorry it's been hard on you, honey. I love you so much. And I'm sorry this has been awful. I pray for you every.
She's fucking laughing while she's saying this. Like, you can hear her. She's not laughing, but she's smiling. Yeah, he's mad now. You bring up that baby girl. He ain't playing with that, is he? I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Like, oh, I knew you weren't going to let me see her, so I'm going to tell you she's come to me, and whether you like it or not. And it must be so hard when he just said, like, this is not who raised me.
Every minute. I was crying in church one day, and I was sitting there crying about you, and I was worried about you. And Jesus came next to me, and he said, "Why weepest thou?" And I said, "You know why I'm worried about Colby. I love Colby so much." And he said, "You love him. Let me lead him. I've got this. I've got him. I know him like I know you. So I have left you in his capable hands, and I know he has taught you. And I'm sorry if he hasn't given you comfort where I am concerned, and maybe it's not time yet, but he will. I promise you, he will. And you'll all see, and everyone will know. But I want you to know how much I love you. I've always loved you, and I love those babies, all of them. And I'm sorry that you feel like you have to keep them from me. I would love to have a relationship with you and with them, but you would have to do what you have to do. But I promise you, you will know.
You know how freaking hard that must be? How do you introduce your children to their grandmother, Lori Vallow? How do you even do that? How do you say, this is what she did, but this is your grandma? I know, Stiletto. She's awful. And she's sitting here saying, oh, I would love to have a relationship. But you do what you have to do.
That all of this is his purpose.
Okay. I'd like to give you my piece as well, because I don't know how much longer this is going to go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay.
It was cutting out.
I wish more than anything that I had my family. I prayed and was so grateful when my daughter's being born, Riley, that she was going to have a family and aunts and uncles and grandparents on both sides and people to love and support her. And then one day, everybody was gone and everything was gone. I also turned to Christ, but I believe that Christ was preparing me for what was going to happen. And you and I do not see eye to eye at all when it comes to belief in Jesus. We don't. I don't believe, and I've really searched. I didn't just make a conclusion. I'm not someone that does that. I really take my time. And I took my time. I read the New Testament, and I read Revelations, and nothing that I've seen is godly or connected to God. And people can say what they want to say. I always dig deeper. I know I'm not going to take someone's word for something. I'm going to go try to dig deeper and find things out. I base it off of what I knew about you, and none of it ever added up. And you used to ask me on the phone if I had received information or clarification or something of that nature, and I never did. And then all my dreams following that were dreams of me either delivering you from demons or me yelling at you at the top of my lungs. And you were not the same in my dreams. And you were not the same person. And I had to accept the fact that I lost my mom too. I had to accept that. But with that being said, with you being there, I need to tell you this. You did raise me. You took care of me. You took care of my needs. You tried to protect me the best you could. And I'm grateful for what you did for me when I was a child. But I will tell you this. This situation does put us at odds. And I can't sit here and say that I agree with you. I can't even really understand where this side's coming from. I don't wish pain or anything on you. I have no malice towards you. Zero. But I do want you to find comfort.
You don't have malice towards anyone.
No, and I won't. And I do 100% forgive you.
Wow.
I forgive you. And I'm not going to hold you in a jail cell of my heart, but you cannot be a part of my children's lives. And I think you need to understand why.
Ooh, wow. I have goosebumps. I have literal goosebumps. He literally said, I forgive you, but you are not going to be part of my children's lives. Way to go, Colby. Setting those boundaries with this lunatic, toxic woman. I literally have goosebumps. Wow. And I need you to understand why. Let's listen.
Because you and I can't even be a part of each other's lives. Because I don't feel like I know you anymore. And I don't want to hurt you by telling you that, but I don't want to lead you on.
Oh my gosh. Wow. He doesn't even want to be in her life. Yeah, this is his moment right here. This took a lot, I'm sure.
Well, how is that forgiveness? How is that
Forgiveness is a choice of forgiving. It doesn't mean you keep going. It doesn't mean that. And if you and I are this different on our beliefs of what happened to my family, then how could we ever even conversate? I can't sit here and pretend like this isn't what it is. And
she tries to manipulate even further. How is that forgiveness? We all know we can forgive people and never speak to them again. It's so strong. What a strong individual. I mean, he is really a testament to, hope for victims. And I mean, he really has done so well. Right, here comes the gaslighting.
And I hate all of it. And I hate that you are still suffering in some way. But at the same time, I understand it. You and I do not agree. And I can't say, even listening to you, I don't feel that conviction in my heart that that's what happened. But that's what you think happens. That's what you say happens. And you know what? I wasn't there. But I know what I feel. And I have my own spiritual intelligence. And I have my own ability to search and ponder. And I guess this leaves us to a place where all I can ever know is that I will find out one day in heaven. And that's all I could ever say about it. Because you and I cannot agree on these things. I do not wish harm on you. I saw you in that courtroom and I wish I could have talked to my mom. I wish I had my mom there. I wish I had my brother and my sister to look at all my kids. I wish my dad was here and being a part of it. I wish my family was here and they're not. And you're gone too.
For real, it was the cat.
And that hurts. It hurts. But I want you to know I don't have a harmful bone in my body towards you. I am mad and I'm upset. But this is something you and I cannot agree on. And I need to set that base now. We do not agree on that. I want to make sure that somehow, some way, you're not stuck in this place forever. Because I don't know what you think. People have said that you have a delusional disorder of hyper-religiosity. And you know what?
Because if you tell anybody you've had a visit from Jesus, that's what they say. That's what psychological world says. But I am not crazy. I never was. When I was at the hospital, I met lots of people who were, and I wouldn't call them crazy, but that have mental disorders, and I do not.
Okay.
Same thing about all the prophets who said they saw Jesus. They said, well,
oh, she met a lot of crazy people, but she wasn't one of them.
And you're mad. Like, well, if he came to you, why doesn't he come to me? Why doesn't he come and tell me this stuff, right? It's the Sadducees and the Pharisees. It's all of that. So what I'm upset about hearing your statement is that it's the first time I realized, and I'm sorry for you, honey, because I love you so much, but it's the first time I realized that when Jesus asked me to be like Job, that you're also having to be like him, because I know you lost everything and all at once. But you have your wife, you have your beautiful children, you have your life still. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that you have a support system with Kelsey and her family. I'm grateful that you have that. I'm grateful that the kids have that. And this is my mission, and my mission will be revealed to everybody at some point, and including you. And at that time, I just want you to know, I'm not going to say I told you so. I'm just going to say I love you.
I want you to know that I did conduct this, obviously, like an interview, and I want you to know that I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this, but I want you to know that my plan was to have this conversation and give you this piece for the public at some point, and that's what I want you to know. But that is the plan. For you to have said what you've never got.
And she has zero empathy, Evelyn. She's incapable of love. So disgusting. I agree. And to think, like, I don't know, like, I miss my mom. My mom passed away. But to think his mom is here on this earth and you just can't get through to her. It just, I can't imagine coming to the point where, as the child in the situation, you have to make the decision to cut those ties. And I'm sure, people do it every day, cut ties with toxic parents. But he's also got the loss of his siblings, which would make it a lot easier to cling on to mom because you lost those siblings. You get what I'm saying? Like, if he had JJ and Tylee, it'd be a lot easier to just shove mom like out over that line and be like, bye. But your mom is still your mom. I mean, even children that are abused their whole lives still love their parents. And it's absolutely heartbreaking, but it's real.
I say publicly.
I wanted you to know how much I love you, and whether you reciprocate that or not. I mean, I know you love me, but whether you want to have a relationship with me or not, that's up to you. That's 100% you. So I respect all of your wishes. I know you're a grown man now and you can make your own decisions, but I would ask you to pray about, and I would ask you to have Jesus tell you the suffering that has been for me in the past 5 years, so that you will know that there's nothing that I could have done different that would have had a different result for you to lose everyone. There's nothing I could have done to complete my mission. And there's a totally different attitude in heaven than there is here, because they realize this is just a short time and it's temporary. The things that we do there are eternal and have eternal importance, but your relationship with me is eternal. So that's the only reason I would ask you to even pray about that, Colby. All I ever wanted for you is to have peace about it. I know you lost everybody. I'm sorry that you did. It was not my choice, and it was not what I wanted.
That's her. I didn't want you to lose everybody, and I'm sorry that you did. It was not my choice.
For you at all. I wanted the same thing for the kids. I wanted everybody to be happy, but that's not what this life is about, apparently. It's certainly not what Job's life was about. But in the end, what did they give Job? They give him everything back and more. So we'll see how Jesus wants to handle that. He hasn't told me when that is going to be, but he did come to me on February 2nd in this jail this year, and he said many things to me, and he told me to write them down. And when I wrote them down, he said, one of the things he told me.
I think the phone calls were spotty. Phone calls were really spotty. She was trying to see if she was going to call back. I feel like we didn't really end it. My raw reaction right now is I just spoke to my mother for the first time in 4 years. And I feel like that was the hardest I've ever fought to not respond. I made a decision in the beginning, before I interviewed her, that I would not try to rebuttal her.
He did a good job.
And the reason being because there's no point.
He did a good job.
It would have been just a defense mechanism thrown up. There would have been no conversation. It would have been chaos, and it wouldn't have been a conversation. I can't tell you how shocking that is. I don't think I'll ever have an interview with someone that was harder than that. I'll tell you that right now. I would have rebutted everything that she said. I'm still shaky and emotional.
Voice.
I'm just gonna give this to you guys really raw, because this is what we need in life, is more of real stuff, not just edited and cut. That was the really hard conversation.
This is hard to watch.
She's so convicted of her truth and her reality. She truly believes what she says. She begged to be in my life. It's so hard, bro, because she's, that's your mom. You just want to trust someone. You want to love them. You can't do it. I can't explain it to her the way I wish I could. Of course, I want my mom to be a part of my life. Of course, I miss my family. But, that can't happen. That can't happen, man. Her belief is so far off. I didn't even get to really ask the questions I had for her. It just turned into a conversation. I hope I was very organized before, tried to keep it very clear.
You did great, Colby.
And it just didn't work out that way. This is one of the hardest things I've had to do, is have that conversation. My sister did not kill my brother. She didn't. Didn't put it on her. It's so unfair. It's so unfair to Tylee. She would never do that.
No, she wouldn't. We know that.
I don't care how mad she was, how upset she was, how hurt she was, and she was being put through hell, being moved around, and after everything that happened to my dad, she didn't even have a chance to breathe. And to blame her. This is the world. This isn't Tylee's fault. Damn. All right, let me pull myself together here. Oh, this isn't Tylee's fault. She didn't do that. She didn't hurt JJ.
Let it out.
She didn't do that.
Colby, let it
So
out.
that's not the truth. That's not the truth. And I guess I have to accept how delusional my mom is. This is not real. There's no even slight evidence that Tylee did that. And it just hurts to blame her after she was brutally taken. Who knows exactly how. JJ was taken, Tammy was taken, Charles was taken. They were taken. It wasn't an accident. I'm gonna have to process this, obviously. Yeah, I didn't get to say goodbye to her. I feel like I said my piece. You heard what she had to say, so that's about it. I'm a mess right now. But I'm not gonna let that be the narrative. Tylee didn't do that. But I didn't rebuttal her because I knew it wouldn't go anywhere. I tried that. I was very confrontational with her and I just got doors in my face. I knew I had to come in and just ask questions. Not come in with an angle. Not just say my piece to send my piece at the end. I feel like she heard what I had to say. So This was the heaviest thing I've ever done. Thank you guys for watching this. This is not easy to share. But I say that right now because I'm feeling the gravity of this. I'm feeling the gravity of this fully. So, I just want to say thank you guys for supporting me, my family, and I did my best. I did my best to talk to her. So, anyway, thank you guys. I love you. I love you.
Wow. You tried and it wouldn't move. I got the button to tip and no bueno. Huh. Thanks, Kels. That was wild. I do have another clip from the trial that I wanted to play that kind of went along with what happened to JJ and
department about her son saying
listen to this.
She had a visit with JJ Vallow when it didn't happen.
This is Melanie Gibb. This is the one of the last ones to see JJ, and also the woman who lied to the police and said he was with her when he wasn't.
Trying to sneak in a statement of
listen to this
of someone who's not here in the courtroom. It's calls for hearsay.
Sustained. Okay, I'm going to move on, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
You left on the 23rd of September, is that right?
Oh, September.
Correct.
Okay. And at that time, you didn't see Tylee at all, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, on the Sunday, the 22nd, did David and Chad go to deal with some real estate matters together?
I did as well, and so Alex was there too.
Oh, that was news to me. I wasn't aware you went as well. Where did you guys go?
Oh, thanks, Kels.
We went to a lot that was close to Mr. Daybell's home.
And what time was that? Do you recall?
It was sometime in the afternoon.
Kels has just donated $5.
Okay, sometime meaning between 12 and 5 or 6?
Thank you, Kels.
I would say either late morning or early afternoon.
Okay. And the purpose of that was for what, ma'am?
Chad wanted to show this piece of land to David, and he encouraged him to consider building on that land.
Okay. It's your boyfriend. Is your boyfriend in the real estate business, ma'am?
General contractor.
General contractor. Okay. Was Lori Vallow present for that?
No.
Was Alex present for that?
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to know where Lori was when they all went and looked at that property. What was Lori doing?
And what time did that end?
I don't recall.
Was it a long visit?
I would say an hour-ish.
Okay.
This was Chad Daybell's preliminary hearing.
Now, on the night of the 22nd, Alex Cox was babysitting JJ. Is that what I recall from your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to go through a brief timeline, if I may.
Okay.
So you got back from a real estate event sometime late afternoon, something like that. Is that correct?
Something like that.
Then you and your boyfriend drove over to Lori's apartment?
After that meeting, yes.
Yeah. Did Alex go with you in the same car?
No, he had his own vehicle.
Okay. Did Alex go over to Lori's apartment as well that day afterwards?
I don't recall when he did. He was in and out often.
I'm sorry, what?
He was in and out. He would come in and out of the house, so I don't recall exactly when he arrived or exactly when he did. I don't remember.
He had an ability to just visit Lori. They were very close in that he would just come in when he felt like it. Is that fair to say?
I would say that's fair.
Okay. All right. And so at some point on the 22nd, he was coming in and out, correct?
Yes.
You talked a little bit about Alex carrying JJ back into Lori's apartment.
Correct.
Do you recall when that was approximately?
As I shared yesterday, it was sometime between the hours of 9 p.m. to midnight-ish.
Did Alex stay in the apartment that night?
Not to my knowledge.
Well, how big of an apartment is this?
There are 3 bedrooms upstairs and none downstairs.
So with you in one bedroom and your boyfriend in the other bedroom, And Lori in a bedroom. Where was JJ?
He had like a little bed in the corner of her room.
Okay.
And so that's where she would have him sleep.
Oh, okay. Was that a permanent structure in there, ma'am?
It was a
Permanent
bed in a corner.
Okay. And to your knowledge, was JJ there at night between 9 and 12?
To my knowledge, he was.
And Alex put him to bed, is that correct?
I just remember him coming in the house holding him, and then I turned back to the recording that I was doing that evening.
Okay. And what was the nature of the recording, ma'am?
We were recording a podcast with Lori present, and we were interviewing David, and he was sharing a lot of his personal spiritual experiences and conversion to our church.
Okay, and that's the LDS religion?
They were
Correct.
So Lori
interviewing,
was actively involved as well in
their podcast was interviewing David Warlocks.
the LDS religion at that time during that meeting as well, correct?
Correct.
And she shared the same beliefs that you share in terms of
That ought
the
to have
religion, is
been
that correct?
fucking interesting.
And Chad shared the same religious
Because
beliefs
you're
as part of the
a
LDS church as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So all of you, David, yourself, Lori, and Chad all share the same and are consistent with your LDS beliefs. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You got up in the morning on the 23rd? Do
Sometime.
you recall about what time, ma'am?
I don't.
Okay. But you do recall that JJ wasn't there?
Correct.
Well, if you didn't know he slept there when you were doing your podcast, how did you know he was there? Wasn't there?
As I said, I don't recall seeing him. I never recall seeing him.
Oh, so he may have been there.
I didn't see him.
Okay, but he may have been there or he may not have been there. Would that be a fair statement?
Sure.
Well, I'm not really sure. Is that a fair statement or is it an
He may have been there, he may not have been there. Is that a fair statement? This fucking lawyer cracks me up.
unfair
Listen.
statement? There, would that be a fair statement?
I didn't see him.
Okay, but he may have been there or he may not have been there. Would that be a fair statement?
Sure.
Well, I'm not really sure. Is that a fair statement or is it an unfair statement?
It could be fair.
Okay, thank you. Did Lori rely on Alex for babysitting?
Sometimes. I don't believe all the time. I wouldn't know all her babysitting moments.
And up until the time that Lori moved here around September 1st, Mr. Daybell wasn't a regular visitor with Lori Daybell prior to September 1st. Would that be fair? Calls for facts outside of evidence.
Will you please repeat the question, Mr. Pryor?
Would it be fair to say that Mr. Daybell was not a regular visitor with Lori Vallow until she moved here on September 1st? Would that be fair?
Would it be fair that who is not a regular visitor?
Would it be fair that Mr. Daybell was not a regular visitor with Ms. Vallow until after she moved here on September 1st, ma'am?
Mr. Wood, your objection
I'll
is...
withdraw the objection.
Okay. Ms. Gibb, if you know the answer to that question, you can answer it.
It had to be Carolina.
I know, according to knowledge from what Lori shared, that they visited often.
Oh, they did? Was that prior to September 1st?
Yes.
Oh, so he would go to, where was Lori living?
She lived multiple places.
Well, let's talk about that. Where was she living prior to September 1st?
She was living in Chandler, Arizona.
Did she move somewhere else prior to Chandler?
Yes.
Where she lived?
She lived in Texas. I'm sorry. Yes, Texas.
Do you have a recollection of when she lived in Texas?
I'm not sure exactly the months, but I want to say somewhere between April or May or
Of what year, ma'am?
something, or June of 2019.
Yes,
I believe.
Lindsay.
Yeah, 2019.
And about how long did she live in Texas, ma'am?
It seemed it was around 2 months. It could have been a little bit more, a little bit
God,
less.
this is from 2020 already. 4 years
And then
old
she
already.
moved to Chandler, Arizona. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did she live any place after Chandler before she came to Rexburg?
I don't think so. No.
You said multiple places. That's what I'm trying to get at. Was it just 2 places?
No. So she lived with Alex Cox for a period of time.
Oh, when did she live with Alex?
So
Oh,
the
when did
beginning of
she-
2019, she
Listen to-
lived with Alex Cox for a period of time.
Oh, when did she live with Alex?
So the beginning of 2019, after she left Charles, and she also lived in Hawaii for a period of time. So
Right.
All
Was she,
that
was she
movie.
in Hawaii? And I'm not talking about the time that she was with Chad. Was she in Hawaii with Alex as well?
I don't think he was there. I don't know for sure.
It's possible he was in Hawaii as well.
I don't recall it.
He had a habit of kind of following her, didn't he?
I don't know, following. They were around each other a lot, and then she went to his house to live, so she went over there.
So they were pretty strongly bonded with each other, weren't they?
Yes.
And I didn't hear what the name was, and I apologize for my ignorance. Talk to me a little bit about, I think you said King Noah. Was it King Noah? Is that what you mentioned on the tape?
Hey, Lucid.
When you were talking to Lori Vallow?
Yes.
Okay. And the date of that conversation with Lori was when? December 8th again?
Yes.
And I was having some difficulty kind of gathering what the reference to King Noah was about. Tell me about that.
She brought the reference up to the fact that a prophet named Alma, and she asked me about Alma, and so I explained to her, the people that were surrounded with that occurrence of Alma's
What's the
experience.
occurrence of Alma?
Mr. Pryor, you keep interrupting the witness, so it's extremely difficult for me to hear the last few words of her answer before you answer. So if you'll please allow her to finish before you interrupt.
Again, Your Honor, I apologize.
No problem.
So, ma'am, I'm sorry, and I'll try to do better. I'm just intrigued by this.
He is a trip. So she's basically saying that JJ was there her and her boyfriend both said that JJ, they saw him last carried in and put to bed by Alex. They got up the next morning and there was no JJ. But there was a point where Melanie Gibb and David testified that he had a nightmare. Remember? David Warlocks had a nightmare in the middle of the night about JJ.
And obviously, please excuse my ignorance. Tell me a little bit about Alma.
Alma was a prophet, but before...
We don't want to know about Alma. Where is it where they talk about the nightmare?
They know. Right, so you're just...
Oh, this is the call that she recorded.
And I kind of lost track. I apologize.
Okay.
You said something about driving down to Arizona. What was that part of the conversation? Who said what?
So she knew that I was going down to Arizona for Thanksgiving, back to my home. And she said that she told the police that she was going to pick him up from my house from Arizona, which I had no previous knowledge to this. This was new information to me.
Okay.
Oh, this is about hiding, like lying about JJ. I know, Evelyn, he did.
Did Lori say anything else to you about JJ?
I can't recall exactly, but I can recall what she talked about Kay.
Okay. What did she say about Kay?
She said that Kay was trying to kidnap JJ. And I said, how do you know? And she said, well, I've received emails, being threatened that he was going to kidnap her. I said, well, what did she say? And she said, well, she sent me emails and she said, she quoted Kay saying, it's not like I'm going to kidnap him or anything. And that she was trying to protect JJ and from her and other people, not just Kay, but possibly family members as well.
Okay. And you said that to your perception, she seemed upbeat and positive. Were those the words you used?
Yes.
Okay. To your perception, when you spoke with Mr. Daybell that day, how did he sound?
Very nervous.
Is that why you asked him if he was nervous?
Uh-huh.
Okay. After receiving these phone calls, how did that make you feel?
Horrible. I felt in shock. I was not okay with it because she told something to the police that was not true, which I had no knowledge of. So I was, I had a really bad feeling in my stomach and I felt very shooken up by it.
Okay. Do you know if the Rexburg police attempted to contact you that day?
They did.
Okay. How did they try to contact you?
They tried calling me and once I believe they left a text.
Okay. And did you respond to them that day?
Not the Rexburg police. I did not.
Oh,
okay.
boy.
How come? Is there a reason?
Well, first of all, Chad tells me not to answer it. And then Lori tells me that her child is in danger. So.
This is this bitch's excuse. She's told to lie by Chad. And then she says, oh, I was told that JJ was in danger. This lady didn't give a shit about JJ. And she should be behind bars too. The cops called and texted her. She ignored them.
Contact you?
They tried calling me and once I believe they left a text.
Okay. And did you respond to them that day?
Not the Rexburg police. I did not.
Okay. How come? Is there a reason?
Well, first of all, Chad tells me not to answer it. And then Lori tells me that her child is in danger.
That, Carolina?
So I'm not sure what to believe or understand what's going on this time. I'm very confused.
Okay. Did you speak to any law enforcement that day?
Yes.
What interaction did you have? Do you know which law enforcement agency you spoke with that day? Okay. And do you recall?
Dub C has just donated $10. It won't let me use my whole username. Weird.
Dupsy, thank you so much. It won't let me use my whole username. Weird. Thank you, Dupsy. You got it to work. Thank you for your support. That's so funny. You guys, where can I find that where she talks about the nightmare? This is the preliminary hearing. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on.
Are you still there? Can you hear me?
I do the best. Yeah, I do the best with what we have.
Right. You try what you can.
Yeah. Are you cutting out?
Yeah.
All right. Here's David Warwick. Is this when it was only audio?
All right, Mr. Warwick, you've been sworn in this case.
Remember, we couldn't hear it all. It was all only audio. That
There's an issue we need to take up.
I hope this doesn't happen with Koberger. Okay, let me see. This has got to be it. Okay, here we go.
And I was coming up for the Book of Mormon conference, and I was also coming up because my son just moved to Pocatello, Idaho. Okay. So I just kind of took a long weekend, just kind of see everybody and just enjoy the weekend and do the podcast.
Okay. And so when you say you took a long weekend, what weekend was that?
September 2020 through the 23rd, 22nd, right in there.
Okay. Of 2019?
Yes.
Okay. And so forgive me, you were coming up for kind of 3 purposes?
Yes.
And those 3 purposes were what?
To go spend some time with my son, with his family in Pocatello. They just moved there a couple weeks previous. And then the Book of Mormon conference was there in Rexburg. And then to see Melanie. Okay. And to do the podcast.
Okay. When you say to do the podcast,
they were interviewing you, you numbnuts. Of course you. Oh, and then to do the podcast like it was his last, thing on his checklist. He was being interviewed. He was gung-ho all about it.
Had you participated in any of the podcast sessions that Lori Vallow and Melanie and others had done before?
No, I did some with preparing the people, but nobody else.
Okay. And so one of the purposes was to come up and to do the podcast with Melanie, Lori. Anybody else going to participate in that podcast?
No.
Okay. Where were you supposed to record the podcast?
At Lori's apartment.
Okay. And so you came up, I believe you said September 20th, and you were going to go to Lori's to do the podcast?
Yes.
All right. Where did you stay that weekend?
Well, I was going to stay in a hotel in Idaho Falls to kind of be in the middle with everything. But Melanie called me and said, hey, don't waste money on a hotel. Lori's got an extra room here. Why don't you just come and stay here? Okay. And the majority of the weekend is going to be in Rexburg anyway, so I decided to stay there.
Okay.
Here we go.
When you got to Lori's place in Rexburg, Idaho, who was at the house, if you remember?
When I got there, Alex Cox, Melanie, Lori, and JJ.
Okay. Now, had you met JJ Vallow before that time?
No.
Okay. Do you remember what JJ was doing when you got there?
He was sitting on the couch playing with toys.
Okay. And did you interact with him at all?
Yeah, I got a Down syndrome boy, autistic, so I just sat down with him to include him. I wanted to see how he was doing and talk to him, but it was like I wasn't even there. He never acknowledged me.
Okay. Now, when you got there, did you see Tylee Ryan there at all?
No.
Did you ever see Tylee Ryan that weekend?
No, I never did. Never did see her. I never did meet her.
Okay. Were you told where she was?
I was told that she was attending Rexburg, Idaho College, and she wanted to be independent.
Okay. And who told you that?
I think it was Melanie. If I remember right, Melanie asked Lori in front of me.
Okay. And then who told you that Tylee was attending college in Rexburg and wanted to be independent?
Yes.
Who said those words?
Lori.
Okay. And so after you had that interaction with JJ, did you have any other interactions with JJ that weekend?
Yeah, there was he had a cardboard box and he was cutting doors and windows out of it, making a home out of it. So I got next to him again and just tried talking to him, but it was the same experience. He was very focused on that and didn't acknowledge me at all.
Okay. And did you ever see him engage with anyone?
I think he engaged with Alex once, and I can't remember what they were talking about, but it looked like a good relationship. Then he got to go outside and play with some children. Okay. And when he went outside, he just looked really happy.
Now, that weekend, did you see Chad Daybell at all?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did you see him, if you remember?
I would say 4 times,
okay,
according to memory.
Okay. Can you tell us about any those interactions?
That's when he was trying to teach me about some of their beliefs. About the gathering of the 144,000 and the.
Good Lord.
And then Satan.
David wanted to be one of the 144,000, but he's going to get into their their weekend there. And this is important because these people are the last people that saw JJ alive. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, Trish. When do you think JJ was actually unalived? And that's why I'm like recounting their weekend here. Let's keep listening.
Having powers to push people out of their bodies and then the spirits being stuck. I don't know how far to go with this, but it was just, just some.
It's okay. I'll ask questions. Okay. That's fair. And that's exactly right. If you're not sure, we'll just do question, answer, okay?
Okay.
All right. Do you need some water or anything?
Hey, Miss Nightbot.
That's how you look in your lips.
Ew.
All right. Now, you indicated that he started talking about beliefs and that, and the 144,000, right?
Yeah.
That's what you said. Who was present during this conversation?
Melanie and Lori.
Okay. Did Lori participate in the conversation at all about those issues?
Not that I can recall. He seemed to lead the way on that.
Okay. And did you? What was your response to?
Lord's gathering is 147 power to push people.
Okay. So let me stop you there. So you are a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints, right? So after that interaction, did you have any other interactions with Chad?
Yeah, he had us meet him at a property on the east side of the church.
When you say had us meet him, who was together with that situation?
Me and Melanie met with Chad and Lori at this property.
Okay, and it was next to a church?
Yes.
Okay, what happened when you met with Chad and Lori next to a church?
They just trying to tell us about that beautiful building, like a temple that was there, and that was in spirit. So they wanted to show it to us, but I couldn't see anything.
Okay. Why did they want to show you the temple or the heavenly building? They said they were.
I was
site. What was supposed to happen at that site?
I recall.
Okay.
They had 80 acres that was out by his place. It was for sale. It was for development.
So why were you looking at 80 acres?
He wanted me to move up to Becksburg. Well, I don't work on Sunday, but since I'll deal.
Connected with Chad.
We were out there. Alex Cox led us out to the property, so we were just standing out in the field and just talking, and then Chad and some brother that he was serving within the church, they left I guess they were clerks or something. They just left and came over to the property.
Okay.
And he said this guy was a realtor, and he said, I just want to, if you have any questions or anything, he can help you with it.
Okay, so who's he? Was that Chad with the realtor?
It was Chad with the realtor, but I don't remember the realtor's name.
Okay. And what was your?
So everybody was there but Lori. He said Chad and Lori, but then didn't he? I'm confused now, Raven.
The response to Chad coming and showing up with the realtor at the property.
I just said, I don't do business on Sunday. I don't want to talk about it. I'm not here for that, and because I didn't know they were coming. They just showed up.
Okay. So after that interaction, did you see Chad Daybell again?
No.
Okay. Did you ever see Chad that weekend at Lori's apartment?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about that situation.
That's where he came. That's where he was coming over and teaching me some of their beliefs.
Okay. Did you ever see Chad with JJ that weekend?
No.
Okay. Did you ever hear about any interactions between Chad and JJ?
I heard that he had a scuffle with JJ, and that's how he got the scratch on his neck.
There we go. Right there. He had a scuffle with JJ. That's what I was looking for.
But I heard that he had a scuffle with JJ, and that's how he got the scratch on his neck. I don't remember what that was about.
Okay. And when you say he got a scratch on his neck, who got a scratch on their neck?
Chad did.
Okay. During the times you saw Chad, what was his interactions like with Lori Vallow?
They were very loving with one another and affectionate.
Ew.
Now, at this time, were you aware that he was still married to Tammy Daybell?
Yes.
Okay. Did the fact that he was married come up at all?
Yes.
All right. How did that happen?
I asked him I just asked him how his marriage was with Tammy and if she was a good wife, and he said he had no complaints, that she was a good wife, but he said her time was coming up, and that him and Lori were gonna go do the things that they committed to do for God.
Her time was coming. These people all knew. I really think all of these people knew.
Okay. So when you say her time was coming up, your Tammy's time
He
was...
said he had a dream that she was going to pass away before he was 50 or by the time he was 50.
Okay. And so that was Tammy was going to pass away before Chad was 50?
Yeah, by the time Chad was 50.
Oh, and that's not a red flag. Oh, my wife's about to die before she's 50. Are you getting These people should all be in the clinker.
The dream was like, I think he said 3 years previous.
Because you're a liar.
And that, and then he said he and Lori were going to be together. What did that mean?
That they were going to get married and they were going to go do their calling.
Okay. And did you know what their calling was?
That's what I learned. They were going to gather the 144,000.
And they were going to do it together?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any response to this?
That's where I just said that because he was kind of saying that I was one of them, and that's why he wanted me up there. And that's when I said, well, that would be a call from God and through his prophet.
Okay. And what was his reaction when you said it should come through the prophet? It's the prophet of the church, right?
Yeah. I can't remember all the details, but it was clear, kind of like that it was a separate calling, because it was the Church of the Firstborn, which is going to be coming out of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so that was his position, and he had his authority under John the Beloved, if I remember right.
Okay. And was that your belief?
No.
Okay. Now, did you do the podcast?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you do the podcast?
We did that on Sunday night.
Okay.
It was late.
All right. So that's Sunday the 22nd?
Yes.
All right. And so where did you do the podcast?
At Lori Vallow's kitchen over the island.
Okay. And when you said who's we did the podcast?
Melanie Gibb and Lori Vallow.
Okay. So you're in Lori's kitchen in her home, right?
Yes.
We did the podcast over the island. That's a weird way to say it.
Sunday evening?
Yes.
Was JJ there?
No.
Where was JJ?
Alex was babysitting him.
Okay. And was he babysitting him in the apartment or somewhere else?
At his place, his apartment.
All right. Who told you that?
Lori.
Okay.
She just wanted to have uninterruptions so we could do the podcast, so she asked him to watch him.
Okay. And did you see JJ again that evening?
Yes. About 10:30, I believe it was 10:30 at night, I heard the front door open, which was to my back. I turned around and I saw Alex carrying JJ, and JJ was asleep and his head was on his shoulder.
And Alex carried him in the house?
Yes.
Did you see where Alex went?
He took him upstairs.
Okay.
And put him in bed.
All right. Do you remember what JJ was wearing?
It seemed like it was shorts and a t-shirt, but I can't remember the colors. I almost want to say it was the camouflage shorts, if I remember right, but
okay.
All
right. So Alex, and did you see Alex leave that night?
It seemed like I heard the door open and close. I didn't turn around again. Once I knew what was going on, I just stayed focused on the podcast. But I didn't see him leave, but it seemed like I did hear the door open and close. It's the vague memory. That's
fair enough. So, where was JJ sleeping while you were staying there?
In Lori's room.
Okay. And what room were you in?
I was in JJ's room.
Okay. So, did you spend that night there as well?
Yes.
All right. Anything happen in the night?
Yeah, in the early hours of the morning, it was one of the worst nightmares of my life. It was very real.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. And, so let me ask you a question.
Okay. He had one of the worst nightmares of his life. It was very real. Put a 1 in chat if you think it was real and wasn't really a nightmare. All right, here we go. This is the juicy part.
Yeah, in the early hours of the morning, it was one of the worst nightmares of my life. It was very real.
Okay.
And
so let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So did Melanie come try to help you as you were waking up from that nightmare?
Yes.
Okay. How did that happen? Let me do it this way. How did Melanie try to help you?
She had heard me talking in my sleep, kind of, I guess I was screaming out or calling out.
Okay.
And so she kind of helped wake me up.
Okay. And then what happened after she helped wake you up?
She said, I'm going to go get Lori, see if we can get Chad over here to give you a blessing. Okay. So she went, and she went to go get Lori, but she came back because she said she couldn't get anybody.
Okay. And so JJ was this in the middle of the night?
Yes, I would say it was in the early hours of the morning. I didn't have a clock there, but I know it was after midnight.
Okay. So as you were kind of waking up and coming back from the nightmare, did you see Lori Vallow at that time?
No.
Okay. Was Melanie able to get her to come help you guys?
No.
Okay. Now, the next morning, did you see JJ?
No.
Excuse me. Do you need some water?
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. You okay?
Yeah.
All right. And so when you woke up the next morning, did you see JJ that morning?
I did not.
Okay. Did you make any inquiries about JJ?
Yes, I did. We went downstairs to say goodbye, and Lori was there, and she said that JJ had an episode, and he climbed up on the cabinets, and then he climbed up on top of the fridge, and then he climbed up on top of the upper cabinets and knocked over her picture of Christ. And she just said that he was out of, she couldn't control him.
So what did she say she did?
She called Alex and had Alex come and get him.
Okay. So when she said she had Alex take JJ, what did you do?
Well, before she told me that Alex took JJ, I said, well, I'd like to see him because I wanted to make sure he was okay.
Why?
Well, because I didn't see any signs of the cabinets. There was no damage on the cabinets. There was no scuffs on the stainless steel fridge. And I just was trying to understand what was going on here. But also, if JJ did have a problem, I'd like to give him a blessing.
Oh my God. I'd like to please. Do you guys think that David heard something that night? Do you think David heard something that night and got Melanie and said, what in the hell's going on? Do you think that? What do you guys think happened? Something happened that night. Something happened that Sunday night. That, I think, is when JJ was unalived, and I think he heard it. Because Lori says, oh, what if Tylee was holding him down and, trying to keep him quiet? She put herself in Tylee, and then she called Alex to come get him. Wow. I think it was Sunday night, and I think she called Alex over, and Alex came and picked up JJ's body. Something along those lines.
And so then you ask her where he was.
Yeah.
And what did she say?
She said Alex. She had Alex come and get him.
Okay. One moment, if I may, Your Honor.
Yes.
I could.
Yeah, one moment. Yeah.
Hey, nosy as fuck. Do you think he was part of the unaliving? I'm going to put a poll up. I want to know how involved you think these people were.
Just to make sure and I may have forgotten to ask, the date that Lori Vallow said she sent JJ with Alex was what?
That was Monday, the 23rd of September.
2019.
Yes.
Right. Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith. Who will be doing cross-examination? Mr. Archibald.
Okay, here you go. Right, exactly, Raven. Why was he wanting to see JJ so bad? Do you guys think he heard it, saw it, or participated in it?
So, Mr. Is it Warwick or Warwick?
Warwick.
Okay. How do you spell your last name?
Warwick. Yes.
Designated audience for this podcast.
Okay, I can't listen to Mr. What's his name? Archibald. Mr. Archibald. Let's see. 74% of you. Okay, you guys are still voting. Get your lolly, lolly, lolly. Get your votes in here. Thank you guys for joining tonight. It was chill. It was chill. It was a nice little chat. It was nice to kind of put some pieces together. See Colby kind of healing in the flesh, if you will. I mean, we're literally watching his steps of healing from this horrible situation that we've really never seen anyone physically go through, through the media and social media. It's really crazy. You think David heard enough to wake him up? Cheyenne thinks they participated. GB thinks Melanie participated. Alex always did the cleanup, and that's why Alex is gone. Dead men can't talk. You think Melanie participated, right, in real time. Isn't it nuts? Social media has really broadened, our viewpoint of things, and it's pretty crazy. Get your votes in. We can end this and then run our credits. I might go live later on my other channel. Most of you guys just think he heard it, though. Thank you, Trish. I'm glad, too. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for everything. I'm still in this la-la land. 75% of you think that they heard it. 19 think they participated. That could be some sort of ritual, too. And then saw it, 5%. Maggie thinks they all had a plan. Cheryl, you think it scares the crap out of David? I think so too. I think he was petrified. Petrified. Well, it was actually kind of fun putting those clips together too. I know, bonus cooter. I'm feeling a little chatty, so we'll go and chit chat on the other channel a little bit. In the meantime, let's run our credits. Thank you guys for joining, and I hope you got something out of this podcast tonight. If you did, please click the thumbs up and leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this live stream or video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my latest content. Want to take it a step further? Bring it all in. And join our community clickers by becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You'll get exclusive access to our Discord server, special channel perks, and much more. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.
Click, 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 click. It's real easy, man.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to France, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buying new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my phone when you feel alone, but I'll never call you back. 'Cause I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. I don't give a damn, I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
Diarrhea of the moon. Going to the clinker, the big house.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
You say that I'm
Fucking
always
thing
so much,
sucks!
and now you don't feel the way you felt when we were younger. But that's okay for me. 'Cause I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 I don't give a damn.
Bye, Jennifer.